Hello guys, good to see you. Welcome to the Ferocious Boxing Gym. Come inside. Alright guys, let's have a little walk through and check out what we got in the Ferocious Boxing Gym. I love doing my weights, my strength work, so obviously the Smith machine has got so many different options. You know, your squat machines, you know, your GHD, your cardio arm machine, obviously the tire that we use with the sledgehammers. You know, a lot of hard work, a lot of strength work we put into our sessions. So obviously me and Manny Pacquiao, the great Manny Pacquiao, was 3 world title campaigns with him over 3 years, 250 rounds, a long time with him. A lot of hard training alongside him, learned a lot, great experiences, and you know, blessed to have been able to you know, have that, you know, in my experience. We got over here this really cool piece of artwork we were gifted from some guys around where the gym is. When we first moved in, they realized we were here, and it was straight after the Lopez fight, so they wanted to present it to me with a beautiful piece. And you know, it's an amazing piece. You know, you got all the world title belts there that I won, all some cool pictures, and I put into the artwork. And you know, it's just I love artwork. I love, you know, cool, you know, pieces that you can put into the gym. I've got heaps of artwork at home, and we've got this section over here as well, which we've been putting a lot of artwork and frames. Obviously, this was the second Haney fight. I was gifted this beautiful artwork, you know, from an artist. This one is all after the Lopez fight, and they're all, look, memorable, you know, pieces. Like I said, I love having this in the gym. You know, young kids come, young amateurs come, and you know, aspiring professionals come in, and they want to see this thing. They want that to be themselves eventually, and this is where, you know, they want to get to. They want the certificate of being a world champion. This is the WBC, obviously, world title certificate. Look, I know there's always a lot of confusion with, was I the WBC world champion, was I not, was I the franchise? But let me state it properly. The franchise belt was the super belt, just like I had the WBA super belt. There was a regular champion. Gervonta Davis had the WBA regular belt. This was the super belt, so I'm the 155th WBC world champion. Every single belt won, and paid my sanctioning fees. I love the WBC, and I was the undisputed champion of the world, one and only in Australian boxing history. But here we are. This is, you know, where all the hard work is done. You know, you got all your boxing bags. We've got some more strength work over here. We've got the kettlebells. I love my kettlebells, as we've seen, you know, in some videos that we're doing. You know, your dumbbells. I've got 1,000,001 pairs of boxing gloves everywhere. I think I'm ready to start my own store, you know, with that many boxing gloves and boots, and you know, you name a brand, I got the brand here in the boxing gym. And of course, the beautiful ring. You know, the Ferocious Boxing ring. This is where all the blood, sweat and tears happen. All the sparring, you know, all the hard work really comes into play here. All your pad work, your sparring. You know, this is a beautiful custom ring. Obviously, shout out to SMAI who set it up for me, done an amazing job with it. And the color scheme that we went with, the black and the gold, was, you know, the look that we wanted to have here. So it's a great ring, custom. And you know, like I said, you look around, you look at the canvas, you can see it. There's blood on there, there's sweat, there's tears. Guys come in, you spar them a round or two, they start crying because they can't handle it. So there's a whole lot in this ring that happens. Obviously, this section, we just created a little cardio conditioning section. Obviously, the ski erg, the air dyne, spin bike, 2 treadmills, normal treadmill, and obviously the curved treadmill. You know, this is where you do your conditioning after a session. You get in some extra Ks or jump on the air dyne. You know, it's a good little section. We used to actually have a black couch here, and people would come in the gym and say, "What's with the couch?" And a good mate of mine used to say, "Mate, you don't need the couch. We're gonna have some coffees and stuff." So the couch went. We sold the couch, and we made it the cardio zone here. And it's cool because on top is the Ferocious Boxing logo. This is the office, this is the gym. So, you know, it was done by some good mates of mine in Melbourne. Vinaj, who have done a lot of things for me, you know, in the gym. The acrylic prints you see, and that's a nice highlight over showing the whole gym. Obviously infrared sauna here. The guys at Revive Saunas, you know, came in and set this sauna up. It's awesome after a training session for your recovery. You know, you get a bit of a sweat out. It's perfect. Now this is the best part. Obviously with the gym, setting up the ring, we had to make sure that it, you know, fitted nicely. And there was an actual office in this section, which you'll see in the video. There was an old office, we had to knock it all down, smash it all out. And obviously I wanted to keep this sink so the ring fitted perfect, but this here is the moment of truth. If you can't fit through here, you can't get on that. So I left it. A lot of guys would come in the gym and say, hey man, get rid of this sink. But I said, no, the sink stays, and if you can't fit through there, you better start training at the Ferocious Boxing gym. See, good, you can fit now. Obviously all these cool posters, man. You know, the magazine front covers. You know, you look at it and you say, wow, you know, they're you know, inspiring. Just a young kid from Sydney, Australia. I was overweight, I was bullied, and I was never meant to even be in this position. You know, and all I'm trying to do is, you know, inspire more young kids, be that role model for a lot of young kids to, you know, be there, have their face on the posters, you know, become champion and, you know, do great things in the sport. But if we go from, you know, body and soul, front magazine, obviously the Good Weekend, another front magazine, which is huge in the paper. You know, the back page of the paper when I won the title, and then we've got the three, you know, boxing magazine back pages. You know, this was cool. Obviously winning the championship before the Haney fight, and here with, look at the faces here. You know, these are the best of the best. You know, just to have my face along these greats, you know, it's that's true honor. Sometimes I look at it and say to myself, you know, my face, you know, amongst these people, these fighters, these legends, you know, it's surreal. Obviously up here, you know, up here, obviously we always have the flags. You know, the Australian flag. You know, born in Australia, so proud to, you know, represent my country, to have been able to win championships for my country. You know, having the support of all the Australian people here. You know, there hasn't been many, you know, Australian fighters that have been able to do what I've been able to do, and to have the backing and support of the country, you know, has been huge. And we've seen it in the big fights, the stadium fights. We've seen how many, you know, people have come out. And again, of course, alongside my heritage, I'm very proud of my Greek heritage. You know, you can see how proud and how much, you know, honour it brings me to, you know, have that heritage behind me alongside, you know, Australia, and together, you know, we've been able to do amazing things and still have a lot more to achieve and do. And then, of course, you know, I'm a religious man of Orthodox faith, and you know, we always keep that, you know, beautiful flag gifted by my lead coach. You know, he gave it to me and said, look, it's got to come into the gym. And he wasn't expecting me to move it right there, but you know, we put it there, and it overlooks the whole gym, protects the whole gym, protects everyone that comes into the gym, sparring partners and anyone that comes into a boxing gym. You don't know, you know, you're sparring, you're landing hard shots. You want to come to the gym, put in your work. You know, you want everyone to leave healthy. Even if they leave in tears, you still want them to leave healthy. Obviously here, more boxing equipment. Like I said, I got a whole store of everything. Look, this is just one section of it. Like I said, I got the other section there, and I got a whole massive, you know, shop upstairs in the office, you know, which you'll see in the next few videos, because we are, you know, working on the office. We are getting it ready for some cool content. Me and Devin in the second fight, you actually should check it out. And that's a good body shot. I did get you a nice body shot there, Dev, but you're coming back with your left hook. So it was a bloodbath. That second fight was a real good fight, real good battle between both of us. You can see it. Blood on my eye, it's cut open on this side. Devin was cut open on the eye and on the mouth as well. So it was a good battle, good fight at Rod Laver Arena, the home of the Australian Open. Obviously this one, the big one, Marvel Stadium. You know, it was a huge event. The whole country was talking about it, and big fight, still one of the biggest fights to ever come to this country. it's a great honour. Obviously didn't get the points in that one, but yeah, still able to do these big fights. Very, very proud of where I've come from, and to have these big fights. And then again, another legend of the sport, Vasily Lomachenko, another guy we were able to bring to Australian boxing. Another guy we were able to bring down under. Look, we've got a lot of fighters here that talk about it, but we've talked about it and actually produced it. We've brought the biggest names to this country, the biggest fights to this country. And what an honour, man, to fight this guy. Just, looking back, and it was a good fight too. Going through the fight, it was a good battle. Obviously, he's a legend. It was the last fight to ever fight him. Future Hall of Famer, 3-division world champion, 2-time Olympic gold medalist. What was his amateur record? 396-1. So to do 11 good rounds with him, was a good honour and a good moment in my career. Obviously, this fight here in Oklahoma, winning the IBO world title, just finalising all them belts. You had all the the WBC, the WBO, IBF ring magazine that I was able to, win in the Big Lopez fight. But look, the IBO, they're a great, sanctioning body. Obviously not the major four, but still a belt that I wanted to collect in my career. And I went out, shut out the Englishman, and took his belt on that night. That's something out of, a movie. You look at that, you think to yourself, that was a time where I walked out in front of 45,000 with all the belts, behind me, and so many great fans. And again, here in Perth, selling out that arena there was amazing against the great Lomachenko. Actually being his last opponent ever, it's a great honour. We got here fighting Lee Selby in London in COVID times, winning the final eliminator to get my title shot. You can see how much it meant to me just when they're raising my hand. That there is everything. To win that fight and get your title shot, to know that you're secure to win. Obviously winning that fight and you're secure to go fight now for the title. That's every fighter dreams of that. And since that day, I've been blessed to have, I think, 6 or 7 world title fights now, 3 undisputed championship fights. So, it's been a hell of a ride, and I've loved every bit of it. The ups, the downs, the wins, the losses. You got to take everything with you, and enjoy every bit of the experience. Obviously, this one here, the American debut. It was my American debut in Connecticut. I just signed a promotional deal with the Bell Entertainment, and I came in and knocked this guy out in a minute 47. It was an emphatic win, big statement, and said what I'll do. Come in and make a statement to the American market. This fight here, a lot of people in the world wouldn't really know too much about, but in Australia, this was a very big fight against Brandon Ogilvie. At that stage, he was the #1 lightweight, #9 in the world, and we came in, and there was a lot of bad blood because we had a big amateur rivalry. We had fought 3 times in the amateurs. He had beaten me twice, I'd beaten him once. And then we met in the pros, and the whole country was, the boxing fans were watching. And I put on a masterclass, but he was a hell of a fighter, a great fighter. And we showed our talent that day. A lot of people underestimated us, but we showed who we were. Obviously up the top here, some more core acrylics. They're fighting at MSG for the first time against Mickey Bay, former IBF world champion. A really good fight, really good learning curve. Mickey was very experienced, former world champion, part of the Mayweather crew. I think he was one of Mayweather's first ever world champions in his promotion. So to fight him and beat him at MSG was a really good moment in my career, and it really created that roll on all the way to the Undisputed Championship. And there we have it there, the Lopez fight back at MSG. Obviously a bloodbath, bad rivalry, still is a rivalry there. Even that in the last fight, he did come into the ring and we kind of hugged it out. Respect is respect, but that was a hell of a fight, hell of a war, and I think we really took a toll on both of us that night. There we have the Selby fight, some action shots, obviously the eliminator. Camille Barla, another big fight. Straight after the Ogilvie fight, I went in and fought the best 140-pound Aussie at that stage, and he had moved down to lightweight, and they were thinking that they were going to come in and take the #1 position at lightweight in Australia. And again, back to back, I had to prove myself and show these guys that You know, I wasn't to be messed with in Australia. So we put on a great fight. It was actually still one of my favourite fights, me and Camille Bala. If you haven't checked it out, go on YouTube on my page, you'll be able to see it. Obviously the famous round 1 knockdown against Lopez, the overhand right, put him down. You can see in his face that he knew at that time that this was not going to be no easy walkthrough, and 12 rounds of absolute war to be able to win it all. That's what it's all about. All you young kids at home, all you aspiring amateurs and professionals, don't give up on your dreams. No matter what is against you, no matter what odds are against you, what you're coming through, you can come from the bottom, come from nothing, like a lot of us have, and you can still get there. Look at that face, that smile, that smirk is telling everybody that I told you I'll do it. And I went out that night and proved it. And obviously this one here at MGM Grand, good tough fight against Ray Perez on the undercard of Manny Pacquiao and Adrian Broner. Good fight, 8-rounder, as I was building my way up to championship glory. And in round 1 or 2, he was a dangerous puncher. He hit me with a good shot and blew my eardrum, perforated the eardrum. So I knew I had to box smart and just make my way through that fight, and that's all we did. Unanimous decision. All these posters I've been able to collect. Everyone comes into the gym and they say, wow, look at all these posters, where'd you get them from, where'd you buy them from? But pretty much maybe 95% of them I've collected with my father at the pubs. As a young kid, 10, 11 years of age, we'll go to watch the big fights at the pub, and I'd straight away go find the floor manager and say, hey, can I have the poster? And usually they'll say, look, after the event's done, it's all yours. And by the time, I was getting older and older, still going to the fights with my father to watch them, the floor manager knew, hey, I've already kept them for you, here you go. And I always had that vision that you'd be thinking, why are you collecting them for your room or something? But no, I was collecting them to have them in my own gym one day. So I knew that, I envisioned, manifested that my own gym, I'd be able to put them up. And some of the fights here, some of the iconic fights, it's cool. Just a little bit of motivation for a lot of guys to come in here as well, to see all these champions. On top of the bags there, you put the hard work in and be able to see all these cool fights that have happened over time. There you go, guys. The Ferocious Boxing Gym, my home where the blood, sweat and tears happen. Look, I know a lot of people always ask, can I come to the gym? Can I train at the gym? Well, this one is private. It is my home for my training camps, and the fight is under Ferocious Promotions. But just know we are in the works for a nice big boxing gym for everybody, the public. So stay tuned, and we've got a lot of exciting things to come, not only with a new boxing gym, but also with some cool behind the scenes videos. So make sure you like and subscribe, and stay tuned.